So here we go, day 3, another century or so. When I refer to a century, of course, I'm talking about the fact that we try to throw a minimum of about 100 shots. I tend to do a mix. Others will basically try to do like sets of one particular grouping of shots. For me, it's more about the fluid of motion and just getting myself back into shape right now and starting to feel something happening positive as far as my legs and that are concerned. I'm going to be working both again with my rattan weapon, or the waster, and with my my steel sword. We'll talk a little bit about that later as we go. Hopefully it's not too hot out here for me. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to start with the rattan sword today. Again, I pretty much never do slow work without this shield, or hell work without the shield, because it is very much part of what I do. When I line up on the Pell, I do tend, rather than lining up directly in front of it, I'll get myself about in position so that I'm landing pretty much the sweet spot of the sword, or waster in this case, without having to take a step. And then I'm going to orient myself just a little bit, in this case, over to the right side of the Pell, assuming that this is where the threat would actually be, as in, if this was a right-handed opponent, this is about where the sword would be. And this is where my concern lies. Not necessarily totally with his body, but where that sword is. If he was left-handed, I would go to the other side. If I was left-handed, I would still line up the same way. continuing. Catching my breath. So something else somebody was asking me about the other day, and I know others have touched on it, people I know and respect, and that is power generation to the offside, whether it be the head or the shoulder or the down into the ribs of the offside leg, shield leg, sword leg I should say, sorry. If I'm just in this position, this is mother of all guards, so I'm up in here, for me to actually generate enough power, strike into the head here, it's hard. Even twisting my body, it is difficult to generate, and I'm fairly strong to generate that kind of power. Others who are smaller, don't have the arm strength, don't have the mass, this is really a wasted shot, especially on an opening. It's not good, it's not a threat, it's not doing anything. Probably won't strike with sufficient force to do any damage. So, what do? In this situation, if I'm going to strike into here, watch what I do with my hand. Sword comes over as I cock. My hip is going back. My sword is pointing in the opposite direction. Now, as I twist forward, I'm going to deliver. Sword goes to this side, so it's a bit of a tell. Means I probably could go over there. And it's going to land solidly, quickly. Especially if I twist. Okay? You say, okay, well if I do that, how are they not going to bite? Well, the other thing too is I can drop it in. So even though it's over here, doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be coming back here. It means I could also just simply come down into this spot. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, I'm going to switch to the steel sword for a minute. And actually, I do pretty much all my Pell work with the steel sword. I always take a pretty good look at the blade before I start, just to be sure. Sword's balanced pretty much exactly the same way as my rattan ones are. And the grip is pretty much the same. I tend to stay with what they did, right down to the roping. I want the sword to basically feel in my hand the way a steel blade would have. The other advantage of using a real steel blade is that if I flat, I know. There's a distinct sound when the flat hits or when I'm not on the edge. And there is also a real heavy feedback, which tells me the sword is trying to leave my hand. Something we don't get with a rattan or wooden club. And again, what I teach is simple. If I cannot do it with a steel blade, I will not do it with a waster or a stick of rattan. Okay, 3 days in a row. The hip is tender, guys, but it's getting better. Tomorrow, I'm going to try it, putting some legs on, putting some more weight on the hips, on that joint, see how it holds up. Hope you could hear me. See you all again soon.